Welcome back. We are now in segment 7.12, and in this segment we'll be discussing about internal rate of return, right? So at the outset, please understand this is IRR calculation is a difficult process. This is a mathematically quite involved calculation. Actually, it's not done manually. Maybe students as part of their finance courses maybe doing it manually as part of the curriculum, but in real life we don't calculate it manually. Okay, either we use spreadsheet models like Excel, right, or we use certain tables that are provided for this purpose, right? So as an appraising officer, right, when you appraise a term loan project, you are not actually going to calculate IRR, right? The project report will be giving you the IRR calculation, and you need to comment on whether the IRR is satisfactory or not. Okay, so nevertheless we'll try to understand the concept of IRR. I'm aware that many banks, most of the banks in India, do not actually attach that much importance to IRR. Because one, it is an advanced concept, and two, bankers are more comfortable with the concept of DSCR. Okay, DSCR is actually used as a primary measure of assessing the viability of a project. Okay, but IRR is a more comprehensive measure than DSCR. Even though bankers attach more importance to DSCR, in practice IRR is a more complete measure. Okay, and in advanced project finance calculations, IRR is inevitably the number one metric. Okay, so even though we are not going to calculate IRR in real life, let us understand how it is calculated, because then you'll be in a position to better appreciate the concept. Okay, so at any stage in this lecture, if you feel uncomfortable because this is going to be slightly mathematically intensive, you can leave it. Okay, right. So to understand the concept of IRR, we need to know two concepts. One is the time value of money, and the DCF, that is the discounted cash flow analysis. Let us see this. So you might be earning a monthly salary of 40,000. Okay, but if you ask your father, during his days, maybe he was earning maybe 4,000, right? Maybe his father, that is your grandfather, maybe in his days earned just 200, but that was sufficient for those days. Say, so if somebody asks you which is the highest salary, not in number, not in absolute terms, but in terms of standard of living, who earned the most in his days, compared to his peers, compared to the standard of living in those days, it's very difficult to tell, because it's difficult to compare, because the problem here is the salaries. We are not comparing salaries for the same period, right? If I were to ask you straight away, if I were to compare you and your colleague, right? Your colleague is earning 30,000 and you are earning 40,000. Your neighbor is earning 50,000. Your relative is earning 20,000. Then, since all of you are contemporaries, right? I can straight away compare and say your neighbor is earning the highest, 50,000, right? This we can do because they're all relating to the same period. But in this example, they are of different periods, and it's very difficult to compare which is a high salary, right? Because 200 might appear to be a very small amount to us, but maybe in his days, in the days of your grandfather, maybe the house rent was only 10 rupees. We don't know. The monthly expenses all put together was only 100. Maybe so his income is 200, his expenses is only 100. He's getting a saving of 50%, right? Whereas your saving might be only, you might be earning 40,000, but your expenses might be 36,000. Your saving is only 4,000. That is only 10%, right? So the point here is when you're comparing figures of different period, right? It's very difficult to do a meaningful comparison unless you have some sort of a method. So you have to understand that comparison of money which is on all the same period is a bit tricky. The reason being that if say for example today is January 1st 2013. Okay, if I give you 1 lakh today, right, and I go to your colleague and say I will give you this 1 lakh 1 year later, right? That is on January 1st 2014, right? I am giving you 1 lakh today, whereas I am going to give you a colleague one year later. These are not same, right? You should understand that these are not same. Why? Because I am actually your 1 lakh is going to be more valuable. Your 1 lakh is more valuable than the 1 lakh I am going to give to your colleague, right? You should understand this. Why? Because this 1 lakh, since I am giving you right away today, you can go to a bank, open a fixed deposit, maybe 10% is the rate, and place your 1 lakh in the fixed deposit. Then after 1 year, that is as on January 1, 2014, this 1 lakh will grow to be 1.1 lakh, right? So as on this date, I am giving your colleague only 1 lakh, right? Whereas your 1 lakh which was given 1 year earlier has now grown to 1.1 lakh. Like, is this concept clear? Right? Money has got time value. Now please understand, this is a term which we use. Money has got a time value. We speak of time value of money. What is this time value of money? Money has got a time value. The earlier you receive it, the more valuable it is. Right? Please understand this very clearly. A rupee, 1 rupee received today. There is a difference between 1 rupee received today and a 1 rupee received tomorrow. There is a difference. The earlier you receive, the more valuable is the money. Okay, so this is always going to be more valuable than this. The 1 rupee which you receive today is going to be more valuable than the 1 rupee you're going to receive tomorrow. Here in this example, I am giving 1 lakh today straight away. This is now, right? Where is this is tomorrow? 1 year later. 1 year later, I'm giving you, and therefore this is more valuable. Why? This 1 lakh will grow to be 1.1 lakh after 1 year, right? 1.1 goes to 1.1 lakh after 1 year. That is as on 1/1/2014. On that date, I'm giving your neighbor only, or your colleague only 1 lakh. So when you speak of as on this date, right? When we speak of as on this date, we then compare the money. You are getting 1.1 lakh, whereas your colleague is going to get only 1 lakh. So this is more valuable. Right? This is concept clear. So whenever you compare money, please understand that you have to ensure that the time period is same. Understand, when the money you receive is pertaining to different time periods, we have to compare them on a similar date. So what you have to do whenever you receive money at different points of time, right? So whenever we get, see, if we get money on the same date, say for example on 12th June 2014, I am giving 1 lakh to A, 2 lakh to B, 1.5 lakhs to C, maybe a 50,000 to D. And if I ask you which is the most valuable, straight away say it's 2 lakhs. There's no issue here, because all of them are given on the same date. Okay, all of them are given on the same date, and which is the highest amount, you will say straight away that is more valuable. But it is not so simple when the dates are different, right? The dates are different. When I give this 1 lakh to A today, I give this 2 lakhs to B after 5 years. I give this 1.5 lakhs to C maybe 6 months from now. This 50,000 from the 50,000 for D, maybe I'll give after 2 days. When the time is different, no, you cannot make straight away comparison, which is the highest amount. You can't do that, right? Why you cannot do that? Because time has got a value. Because money has got a time value. Okay. So in order to compare, whenever you need to compare money of a different time period, you have to bring them to a same date, right? You have to bring them to a similar date. Whichever date is your wish. You can compare them on January 1st 2012 or January 1st 2013, whichever date, or any date in between, 31st May 2012. Any date is fine, no problem. But the comparison should be on a same date. But the comparison should be on a same date, right? Is this point clear? So let us complicate this scenario a bit further. Now instead of saying the same amount, I'm saying the amount is also different. In earlier example, the 1 lakh was given to you today. To your colleague, I gave 1 year from now. At least the amount was same. 1 lakh was same. But now I'm saying the amount is different. The time is different, right? Say for example, I give you 1 lakh now, right? And I tell you either you take it now, or I will give you 1.05 lakhs 1 year from now, right? And say for example, the prevailing bank rate is 10%. The prevailing fixed deposit rate is 10%. So which is better? So here, please note that the amount is different, and also the time is different. Both are different. This is a slightly complex scenario. So here again we cannot make a straight away comparison, right? Here the amount is different, time is different. So which is more valuable? So what you have to calculate is pretty simply. The concept of time value is this: you take this 1 lakh, you have to take some common date. Some common date. This is your wish. Whichever date you want, you take some common date. So either you are going to take now, or you are going to take 1 year later, right? Some common date. But you have to compare both this amount on the single date. Either you compare this amount now or 1 year from now. Say for example, we are going to compare these amounts 1 year from now. So that is the time frame we are taking. Now 1 year from now, what are these two amounts? So 1 year from now, what these two amounts will be, right? So this is anyway 1 year later. So 1.05 is straight away 1.05 after 1 year, because we are receiving after 1 year. Now this 1 lakh which you are going to receive now is going to grow to 1.10, because the bank fixed deposit rate is 10%, right? So we have converted two amounts which are received on different date to common date. 1 year from now, we speaking, what are these two values worth? One is anyway straight away 1.05, because we are going to receive one year later. the other amount 1 lakh which we are going to, which we receive now is going to grow to 1.10 lakh. So now we have converted these different amounts received at different times into a common time factor or to a common time period, right? So now we can compare which of these two is higher. 1.1 is higher. So obviously the 1 lakh which I give you right now is more valuable. Is this point clear? Right? Why it is more valuable? Because that 1 lakh, if I invest in some fixed deposit, is going to grow to 1.1 lakh. Right? Now take another example. Suppose I say take 1 lakh now or take 1.2 lakh later. Okay. So again we have to convert these two into some common time period. Let us take the common time period to be 1 year from now. So 1 year from now, what are these two amounts going to be equal? So the first one 1 lakh now, right? The 1 lakh now is going to grow to bank rate of 10%, is going to grow to 1.10. Then that 1.2 lakh anyway is going to be receive 1 year from now, so that will be 1.2. So now this is more valuable. The 1.2 lakh which we are going to receive 1 year later is going to be more valuable than the 1 lakh we receive now. So now in this case it is better to wait for 1 year and take 1.2 lakhs rather than taking 1 lakh now. Right? So please understand this concept. This concept is what we call the present value concept. Right? Though we are actually using here something called future value. We are asking how much this 1 lakh will grow to in 1 year from now. So we can say the future value of 1 lakh after 1 year is 1.1 lakh. Okay, that is future value. But we can also talk in a reverse manner, which we'll see shortly. But anyway, this is the concept, right? The present value concept. So please listen to this carefully. If the rate of interest is 10%, 1 lakh will become 1.1 lakh after 1 year, right? So we can say like this: 1 lakh received now is equal to 1.1 lakh received 1 year later. So there is no difference between 1 lakh received now. This is absolutely equal to 1.1 lakh received 1 year later. Please understand this. We are not saying the amount is equal. The amount is different. 1 lakh is not equal to 1.1 lakh. They are different. But then seen from a point of different time periods, 1 lakh received now is absolutely equal to 1.1 lakh received 1 year later. If somebody were come to you with this offer, do you want 1 lakh now? Or you want to take 1.1 lakh 1 year later? You should be indifferent, right? You should be indifferent if the prevailing rate is 10%. For you, it shouldn't make any difference. For you, it should not make absolutely any difference. You should not prefer one choice over the other because both are equal. That is what you have to understand. See, there might be some other extraneous factors and let us not go into it. So as an individual, maybe in real life, you might be thinking, let us take this straight away. Because who knows after 1 year we're going to get that or not. But leave about those uncertainties. From a concept point of view, 1 lakh received now is in no way different from 1.1 lakh received 1 year later. How much this 1 lakh will grow after 2 years? Say for example this 1.1 lakh is again invested for 1 year. So this 1 lakh after 2 years how much it will grow to? So this will be 1.1 after 1 year. And again if you reinvest it at 10%, you will again get 1.21 after 2 years. So now I'm saying 1 lakh received now is equal to 1.1 lakh 1 year later, or it is equal to 1.21 lakh received 2 years later. So if someone were to come and offer you, take this 1 lakh now, or take 1.1 lakh 1 year later, or take 1.21 lakh 2 years later, you should be indifferent to any of these three options because all three options are equal to you, right? We are not saying the amounts are equal. We are saying seen from the concept of different time periods, these three are equal. We don't mind taking any option because all three are equivalent, right? Is this point clear? So we can say that the 1 lakh received now is equal to 1.1 lakh received 1 year later, or now in technical terms we can say the future value of 1 lakh. The future value of 1 lakh 1 year later is 1.1 lakh, right? So this is not though it's a new term, it is not a very complex term. Future value, straight away. Very simple concept. Future value. How much this 1 lakh is going to grow in future after 1 year? So the future value of 1 lakh is 1.1 lakh. When? After 1 year. So the future value is a term which you need to keep in mind. So a slightly different term is present value. This statement can also be written like this: 1.1 lakh received 1 year later is equal to 1 lakh received now. Absolutely. There's nothing wrong. We just flipped the statement, right? So 1.1 lakh received 1 year later is equal to 1 lakh received now. So the present value of 1.1 lakh received 1 year later is 1 lakh. Right? We have just flipped this statement. Earlier we said future value of 1 lakh is 1.1 lakh. Now we are saying the present value of 1.1 lakh to be received 1 year later is equal to 1 lakh. So ultimately what we are saying is 1 lakh is equal to 1.1 lakh. This is now, this is 1 year later, right? So there are two ways of saying this. One, we can say the future value of 1 lakh received now is 1.1 lakh, and this is what the statement is saying. Or put in other words, the present value of 1.1 lakh to be received 1 year later is equal to 1 lakh. So both these statements are saying one and the same, but they are using slightly different terms. One is the future value and another is the present value. So please understand this statement very clearly, the present value statement, right? So what we are saying is, so what is the present value of 1 rupee to be received 1 year from now, right? So what I'm saying is, today is, let us assume today is Jan 1st 2014. Then on 1 year later, Jan 1st 2015, you are going to receive 1 rupee. So what is the present value of that 1 rupee to be received 1 year from now? What is the value of that 1 rupee today? Today what is that value? So can you answer that? So first of all, whether that the present value will be greater than 1 or less than 1? It will be less than 1. So please understand this. 1 will grow to 1.1 after 1 year. 1.1 goes to 1.21, assuming the rate is 10%. 1.21 after 2 years. So starting from now, you go into the future, the value is increasing. So this is 1 means earlier it should be somewhere 0.9 or something. So it has grown to 1 after 1 year. So definitely this should be less than 1, right? So this should be definitely less than 1. How much is something which we'll calculate, right? We'll calculate, but please understand the concept. Please understand the statement, the present value of some amount. So the question will always be the present value of some amount to be received 1 year later. What is the present value? You have to calculate. So in project finance, what happens is there will be huge capital expenditure. You know, say 100 crores, huge capital, because the company has to buy land, it has to construct buildings, it has to purchase plant and machinery. There will be lot of expenses. And say for example, this project has incurred 100 crores. Maybe in 1 year, this is a construction period. The company has incurred a huge amount, 100 crores. So this is the cash outflow. This cash outflow has happened in the first year, 1 year construction, 100 crores the company has spent, right? But if you see the inflow, the cash inflow, it is not going to come in 1 year. The cash inflow is going to happen over a period of time. Say for example, 10 years. Okay, this project is going to generate maybe 11 crores in the first year, 11 crores in the second year, and 10 crores so on up to the 10th year. So actually, if we add up, you'll get how much you're going to get? 1 or 2 crores. So if you ask a layman, is this a profitable project? He'll say it is a profitable project. It is a profitable project because the company has invested 100 crores. It has got back 1 or 2 crores. It is a profitable project. But this is absolutely wrong. That is the point we're trying to make. This is absolutely wrong because the mistake is the first year to be the benchmark, the time period. This 100 crores is equal to 100 crores. Okay, now he has spent now. Okay. But the amount he is going to receive in future, 11 crores, right? 11 crores, which to be received 1 year from now is not equal to 11 crores. It will be something less than, because please understand, we have to, when we compare the cash flows of different time period, we have to bring it back to some common factor. So let us bring it to now. So what is this 11 crore worth now? What is this 11 crore worth now? It will be something less than 11, maybe 10.8, we don't know, right? It will always be less than 11. See this example. You are earning a salary of 25,000 today. This is 2014. You are earning a salary of 25,000, which seems very good. 50 years from now, that is somewhere in 2064, if your son is also earning 25,000, do you think he is doing a good job? Right? He must be doing a miserable job. You know, he must be doing a miserable job because what is 25,000 worth after 50 years? Nothing. You know, 25,000 today is a lot of money. 50 years from now, what is 25,000? Is nothing. So if the amount is same, right? If the amount is same, as the time goes on, the value comes down, right? So here this 11 crores might seem after 1 year, this 11 crore which you receive after 1 year might seem to be a big amount. It's really not a big amount. So how should we compare? If you were to compare, let us compare now. Now the father is earning 25,000. What is the son? What would the son be earning today in equivalent terms? In equivalent terms, that 25,000, what could be? What could it be worth today? Maybe 1,000, right? So 25,000 is not a big amount. 50 years from now. So if you were to bring it back to today, if you were to bring it back to today, maybe it is worth only 1,000. So then now you can compare. Now you can compare. This is a nothing job, right? So are you understanding the connection here, right? This amount 25,000 received 50 years from now, and this 1,000 received today are one and the same, and that's why we are now able to compare the father and son, right? Similarly, this 11 lakh, which you receive 1 year from now is worth today it's worth maybe 10.8. That 11 lakhs which you receive 2 years from now, maybe it's even less. The 10 lakhs which you receive 3 years from now, maybe it's worth only 9.2. We don't know. We have to calculate it. But 10 years from now, the 10 crores which you receive, maybe it's worth only 6 crores. We don't know. You see, but it is definitely not 10 crores. That is the point you have to understand. 10 crores which you receive 10 years later, that worth today is only 6 crores. It is not definitely not 10 crores. It is something less than 10 crores. So if you add up all this, ultimately you might actually end up with 70 or 80 crores. Now you can compare. The company incurred an expenditure of 100 crores, whereas it's getting 70 to 80 crores. It's not, yes, it is getting 1 or 2 crores, but that's because you have made the mistake of directly adding up. In equivalent terms, this 1 or 2 crores is actually equal to 70 crores you received today. Right? 1 or 2 crores received in this phased manner is equal to 70 crores received now. So you are spending 100 crores going cash outflow, and only 70 crores is coming in. So this is not a good project. So that is where we use the present value concept in project finance. So let us see these examples. So we are depositing some amount, varying amounts. Rate of interest is different, and let us calculate what is this amount going to become after 1 year. So this 1 lakh, if invested at the rate of 10%, is going to grow to 1,10,000. So if we want to say it in the form of a statement, what we can say is the present value of 1.1 lakh to be received 1 year from now is 1 lakh. The present value of 1.1 lakh is 1 lakh. This 1 lakh is worth today. This 1.1 lakh is going to you're going to get 1 year from now. 1 year later, if you get 1.1 lakh, this is equal to receiving 1 lakh today, right? So in this scenario, the amount is different, 1.15 lakhs, and rate of interest is 8%. So if you calculate, the amount is going to grow to after 1 year this much. So the present value of 1.24 lakhs to be received 1 year later, right, is 1.15 lakhs. So 1.15 lakhs is equal to 1.25 lakhs. That is 1.24 lakhs to be received 1 year later, or 1.5 lakhs which you receive now are one and the same. So the present value, see the statement, the present value of 1.24 lakhs to be received 1 year from now is 1.15 lakhs. So right, so these are the various examples. So these are the various statements you can frame based on the scenario. So straight away remember that always present value will be lower than future value. Okay, so 1 lakh received 1 year from now will be equal to something lesser than 1 lakh, right? So maybe it's equal to 0.91 lakh. So whether you receive 0.1 lakh now or 1 lakh later, 1 year later, is one and the same, right? Why? Because this 0.91 lakhs, if you invest in 10%, it will grow to 1 lakh later, 1 year later. So that's why we are saying either whether you receive 0.91 lakh now or 1 lakh later is going to be the one and the same. So please be very clear on this concept. Okay, so we understood the reason why we are doing all this. So in business scenarios, cash inflow will be taking at different times, cash outflow will be happening at different times. So we need to convert all of them to the equivalent amount today, right? So they will be happening at different point of time, 1 year from now, 2 years from now. So you have to bring all those amounts to value of today. What is the present value of all those cash flows? What is the present value of cash inflow from the project 1 year from now, 2 years from now, 10 years from now? You have to bring all these cash flows to the present value now, and then you have to compare with the project investment. Then we'll see whether it is a profitable project or not. We'll do that shortly. So see this example. What is the present value of 1.25 lakhs to be received 1 year from now? What is its value today? What is its worth today? If I were to give you 1.25 lakhs 1 year later, what is its value today? In other words, I'm asking what is the present value of 1.25 lakh to be received 1 year from now, right? What is the present value? Or in very simple terms, if this answer is X, right? If the answer is X, what I'm actually asking is what is that amount X if invested at rate of interest 10% is going to grow to 1.25 lakhs. Right? Both these are one and the same. Here I'm asking, what is the present value of 1.25 lakhs to be received 1 year from now? Or in plain terms, you tell me the answer. The answer is some amount X. If I invest this X for 1 year at the rate of 10%, it's going to grow to 1.25 lakhs. So calculate that amount. So if you calculate, it's going to be 1.14 lakhs. So if you invest 1.14 lakhs, right, for 1 year from now. So 1 year from now, how much interest is going to give you? 0.114. This is the interest at 10%. So this is the principal, this is the interest. So you add up both these two, you're going to get 1.25. Is this clear? 1.14 lakhs invested at the rate of 10% for 1 year is going to get you an interest of 0.114. So put together, this 1.14 is going to grow to 1.25 1 year from now. So the present value of 1.25 lakhs to be received 1 year later is equal to 1.14 lakhs. Okay. So we can speak of various scenarios. So this 1.14 lakh which you receive 1 year from now is going to grow to how much? 1.14 into 10% of 1.14 is going to go to 1.25, which this was seen in the previous slide. So this 1.15 lakh. So for example, this 1.15 lakh invested at 10% for 2 years. How much is going to grow to? In the first year is going to grow to 1.15 plus 10% of 1.15, right? 10% of 1.15. So it will go into 1.27. Then again that 1.27, if you reinvest at 10%, you're going to get 1.4. So 1.15 is going to grow to 1.4 2 years from now. In statement terms, we can say the present value of 1.4 lakhs, present value of 1.4 lakh to be received 2 years from now is 1.15 lakhs, right? Then 1.16 lakh if you invest for 3 years at 10%, how much it will grow to? In the first year 1.16 will grow to 1.28, 1.16 plus the interest portion 10% of 1.16. Okay. In the second year 1.28 will go to 1.41. Third year 1.41 will go to 1.55. So the present value of 1.55 lakhs to be received 3 years from now is 1.16. So please see that the present value is always less than the future value, right? So as I mentioned in the beginning, if you're finding this difficult to follow, please feel free to skip this lecture. This is a slightly mathematically intensive lecture, but I suggest you just listen along till the end and see how much you can grasp. Okay, this is how we calculated. Okay, that amount of a 1 year is going to be present amount, whatever is the amount, plus rate of interest into present amount. Okay, so 1 lakh is going to go to 1.1 lakh. We are saying how did we arrive at this 1.1 lakh? 1 lakh is the principal amount, and the interest portion is 10% of that 1 lakh. Okay, so interest portion is 10,000. So at the end of the 1 year, you are going to get back that principal and also the interest. So put together 1.1 lakh. You can put this in the form of a formula. You can say this is amount of 1 year is nothing but future value. So future value is equal to present value plus rate of interest into present value, or simplifying it, present value into 1 plus rate present. Okay, so rate of interest. Okay, so this is a formula for 1 year. So what if 2 years? Then future value will be present value plus present value into 1 plus rate. This is the value after 1 year. Present value into 1 plus rate of interest, right? Same as this. Same as this. Okay, this is the value after 1 year. Then after second year, again you have to multiply with 1 plus rate of interest. So 1 plus rate of interest raised to the power of 2. So if you actually want a formula, this is how the value will be, right? So future value will be present value into 1 plus the rate of interest times n, or if you want the present value, it's going to be future value by 1 plus rate of interest to the power n. This is the formula which is followed. Actually, we are not going to calculate this straight away, right? Because you're going to use a calculator or tables or spreadsheet, because this will be very complicated as the number of years increase. Say for example, if I were to ask you what is the present value of 5 lakhs, if the future value is 5 lakhs, if I were to receive 5 lakhs after 10 years, n is 10 here. Okay, if I get 5 lakhs after, this is 2014, in 2024 if I get 5 lakhs, what is its value today in 2014? That the formula is this is the formula. So 1 plus 0.1 to the power 10. This is a very complex calculation, so manually we will not be calculating it. Okay, we'll be using spreadsheet models like Excel. Okay, so before we move on to the next example, let us try to understand why is the present value lower than the future value. Why is 1 rupee received today is more valuable than 1 rupee received tomorrow? Why is that if I give the same amount today, say 1 lakh, I'm giving you, take it now, and I'm saying 1 lakh I'll give 1 year from now. Why is that this is more valuable? Why are you preferring to take this 1 lakh now rather than 1 lakh, the same amount 1 year from now? So there are three reasons. Okay. So this reason we have already seen, right? Investment opportunity. So this 1 lakh, if you invest in some maybe some investment like fixed deposit, this is going to grow to some amount. Maybe this 1.1 lakh, 1 lakh, maybe this 1 lakh will become 1.1 lakh. So why wait for 1 year and take 1 lakh when you can actually earn 1.1 lakh after 1 year, isn't it? So some person has come and given you an option. Either take 1 lakh today or wait for 1 year. I'm going to give you the same 1 lakh. You are saying, why should I wait for one year and get the same 1 lakh when if I get it today, I can invest in some investment revenue and get back 1.1 lakh after 1 year. So I'll take it now. So this is an investment opportunity. This is one of the reasons why people prefer money to be received now itself rather than in the future. The second is this uncertainty. What is the guarantee that that person is going to come back 1 year later? 1 year later is going to give you that 1 lakh. So there is no guarantee. There is some uncertainty associated with it. So someone is going to come and say 1 lakh you take now, or 1 lakh 1 year later you straight away take it. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. It's like your bank, in banks you have this whenever some accounts go NPA and PNPS, these sort of accounts, when they're troublesome accounts, what bank does, they write off, they write off some amount. There'll be something called compromise settlements. What is this compromise? So some borrower is there, he has to pay us some 100 lakhs. This is the outstanding. So the bank is pursuing for years, 2 years, 3 years, this person is not paying. So he's saying, my position is not good. I'm going to invest for fresh funds. Some new investors coming in. This 100 lakhs I'm going to pay in 2 to 3 years. Okay, I'll turn around this project. Please wait. He's saying, wait for 2 to 3 years. Please support me. Okay, after 2 3 years, the project will be viable and I'll return back this 100 lakhs. Or please take. Now I have only 80 lakhs, or now I have only 90 lakhs. Please take it. Please take 90 lakhs and waive the 10. As a banker, immediately you'll be taking this. See this is the uncertainty concept at work. This person is a NPA borrower. He's troubling us for the past 2 3 years. Now he's saying, you please wait for another 2 3 years. I will bring in some fresh funds. Some investor is going to come in. This project is going to be turned around and is going to be viable. I'm going to get that. I'm going to repay this 100 lakhs. Please wait for 2 3 years. Or he's saying, I have now with me 90 lakhs ready. You take it and waive off the 10. Immediately you will take this. Why? You don't know whether you're going to get that 100 lakhs after 2 3 years. This is already a troublesome borrower. You don't know whether he's going to actually. We are not sure whether this is going to be a viable project. 2 to 3 years, you don't know what's going to happen. We are uncertain about the future. So why is the money received today? Why is 1 rupee received today more valuable than 1 rupee, the same rupee received tomorrow? Because uncertainty. We don't know whether we are going to receive the same amount tomorrow or not. So if the money is available today, take it. Why wait for tomorrow? So that is another reason why money received today is more valuable than money received tomorrow. One more reason is preference for current consumption. People like to consume. If you have your say for example, you must have gotten some arrears. Okay, have some arrears. Say you got a arrears of 50,000. You want to consume it right away, right? If the bank says, I'll give you the arrears of 50,000 today, or you wait for 3 months, right? We're going to give you that 51,000. Not much, maybe 51, just 1,000 more. You're going to take this now. Here is not uncertainty. Your bank is not going to wind up. Your bank is a profitable bank. It's a public sector bank. It's not going to wind up. It's not the uncertainty. It's not even an investment. Maybe you don't have any plans to invest it. It's not a huge amount and you have no plans of investing. It's not these two. It is preference for current consumption. You want it now. It's a human nature. You want money right away. You want to consume it. Maybe this 50,000 you have some plans. Maybe you're planning to buy some laptop to your computer to your kid. Or maybe there is some luxury item you want to consume. You always wanted to buy but couldn't buy till now. Now you had the funds you want to buy, so you had some plans. So it is human nature, preference for current consumption. People want to consume now, right now. So that's why a rupee received today is more valuable than a rupee received tomorrow. Okay. So if somebody were to ask you, right, what is this time value of money? Why are we saying money has got a time value? Why is that the same money 1 rupee received today is more valuable than the rupee received tomorrow? Why can't we wait for tomorrow or 1 year from now, 10 years from now? Why can't we wait if you're going to get the same amount? Because These are the three reasons. One is uncertainty. We don't know what's going to happen in future, whether we're going to get that 1 rupee tomorrow or not. So if it is available today, why not take it straight away? Right? Uncertainty is one reason. Investment opportunity. This 1 rupee will grow to 1.1 lakh tomorrow. This 1 rupee is going to grow to 1.1 tomorrow. So tomorrow you're going to give me only 1 rupee. Whereas tomorrow I can grow this 1 to 1.1. So I'll take this investment opportunity. And finally, it's a human nature to prefer current consumption. So these are the three reasons why we say money has got a time value. Money has got a time value. Money received today is not equal to money received tomorrow. Money has got a time value. Money received today is more valuable. It is a more valuable than money received tomorrow. The same amount. Okay, we're speaking of the same amount. 1 lakh received today is more valuable than 1 lakh. The same 1 lakh received 1 year from now. 1 crore received today is going to be more valuable than 1 crore received 2 years from now. Okay, the same amount, it's better to receive it earlier. The earlier you receive, the more valuable it is. Okay, so let us have an example where the project initial investment is 1 crore. Okay, and let us assume that this 100 lakhs is going out in a single day. Usually project expenditure is going to happen in a phased manner over a period of time, maybe 6 months or 1 year, but for simplicity let us assume that on day 1, today itself, and the entire 100 crores is gone out. The cash outflow has occurred on day 1 today, that is 1 crore. Okay, 100 lakhs. Then the cash inflow, let us assume this project is going to generate cash inflow 25 lakhs per year for the next 5 years. So 125 lakhs is going to generate in the next 5 years. After 5 years, the project is scrap. Okay, you're not going to get any. There's going to be no terminal value. Okay, so the initial investment is 100 lakhs. The return is 125 lakhs. 5 years, 25. So it appears the project is profitable, but we know with time value of money we should not be doing like this. Right? This is not 125. This is something less than 125. Let us see why. So you are going to receive 25 lakhs for the next 5 years. In each year. Year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, you're going to receive 25 lakhs. So let us bring all these to the present value. What is the present value of these amounts? Because today your cash outflow was 100 crores. I want to know the cash inflow. Not after 1 year, after 2 years, after 5 years. No, I want to know what is the cash inflow today in equivalent terms. Right? The actual cash flow is happening over a period of time. That is fine. But what is the equivalent cash inflow converted to today's term? What is the present value? In other words, what is the present value of this 5 crores each? Right? What is the present value of 5 crores to be received 1 year from now? 5 crores. Okay, this is not 5. This is not 5. So what is this total 125? So what is this 25 crores worth today? If I receive 25 crores 1 year from now, what is this worth? What is the present value today? Similarly, what is the present value of this 25 crores to be received 2 years from now? What is the present value of 25 crores to be received 5 years from now? Let us calculate. We already have the formula. So the 25 lakhs which you are going to receive 1 year from now is only worth 22.73. This is the formula. Future value is present value into 1 plus rate of interest to the power n, or in other words, present value, we see in this formula, future value by 1 plus rate of interest to the power n. This is the formula. So here future value is 25. Okay, by 1 plus rate of interest is 10% or 0.1 to the power n is here 1 year. So this, if you work out, you'll get 22.73. What we are saying is, though the project is going to generate 25 lakhs after 1 year in the first year of operation, that is the first year 1, that is not equal to 25 today. Today it is worthless. Today it's worthless because of the time value of money. The earlier we receive, the more valuable it is. The later we receive, the less valuable it is. 25 crores you will receive 1 year from now, that is less valuable today. Today it's not going to be 25. Today it's just worth 22.73. Or in other words, if you invest 22.73, it's going to grow to 25 lakhs after 1 year. That's what we are saying. So 25 lakhs received 1 year from now is worth only 22.73 today. Today, whether you receive 22.73 today or you receive 25 lakhs 1 year from now, it's one and the same. So we are bringing this 25 lakh after 1 year back to today. We are bringing all these cash flows to a common time period, that is today. So 1 year from now, whether you receive 25 lakhs or 22.73 now is one and the same. Similarly, whether you receive 25 lakhs 2 years from now or 20.66 now, one and the same. The present value of 25 lakhs, that 25 lakhs which you are going to receive 2 years from now, that amount is worth only 20 lakhs today. Obviously, the later you receive, it's going to be less valuable. Right? What is 25 lakhs after 100 years? 25 lakhs is a huge amount today. 100 years later, it's going to be useless. Okay, because of inflation and other reasons. So what is that? It's going to fall rapidly. So as you go later and later, this becomes zero. Ultimately, this 25 crores, because the present value might be 25. This 25 which you receive 100 years from now may be actually worth zero. It's practically of no use. Maybe it is zero. Okay. So each year you have to calculate the present value. So let us go on the calculation. So the 25 lakhs which is 3 years from now is worth only 18.78 lakhs. 25 lakhs which you receive 4 years from now is worth only 17.07 lakhs. 25 lakhs which you receive 5 years later is only 15.52 lakhs. Now you add up all this cash. Earlier it appeared that it was a good investment because you invested only 100 crores, 100 lakhs, whereas you got 125 lakhs. It looked like a good investment because this is 25 into 5. But now actually if you add up all this, you're getting only 94.76 lakhs. So while your cash outflow is 100 lakhs, your inflow is only 94.76 lakhs in equivalent terms. In equivalent terms, you're getting only 94.76 lakhs. This comparison you can do because this is all the same time period. You have brought down those cash flows to the today period. You have brought them all to the same period. This comparison you can do. You cannot compare 25 lakhs which you receive 2 years from now with the present inflow. Okay, so with the present outflow. Okay, so but this you can do because these are all pertaining to the same period of today. So you're going to get only 94.76 lakhs, whereas 100 lakhs is going to go out. So this is not a good investment, right? So these are the sort of calculations which we will be doing, and this difference. So this difference is called net present value. Okay, so net present value is nothing but the inflow minus outflow, right? So here the inflow is 94.76, outflow is 100. So it is negative. NP is negative. That's why we reject the project. So this is a new term, NPV, net present value. What is net present value? Difference between inflow and outflow. Now, not so simply inflow minus outflow, but what is inflow? The discounted cash inflow. The future cash inflows we are discounting, right? The future cash inflows discounted to present value. So what is the present value of all these cash flows which you're going to receive in future? What is that present value? That is the inflow minus outflow happening today. Okay, so that is what you get the NPV. If NPV is positive, we'll accept the project. If NPV is negative, as it is in this case, we'll reject the project. Okay, so that is the determining factor to say whether a project is a good project or not. If NPV is positive, accept the project. If NPV is negative, decline the project. Okay, let us take one more example. So here we have a project where it's going to be operational for 10 years, right? And there are two outflows here. Usually you'll have outflow in the first year because this is the initial investment. This is the construction period where you will not be having any outflow. This is just the construction period. So first year of course you'll be having the outflow, but this project also got an outflow in the fifth year. Maybe the people who designed this project were of the opinion that after 5 years the efficiency of the project comes down. So maybe they have to undertake a small maybe they have to undertake a small modernization project after 5 years. So maybe that's why they have planned a cash outflow in the fifth year also. That can happen. Outflow is not something that has to definitely happen in the first year itself. Every year you can have outflow, small amounts, or as in this case fifth year you can have it. Okay, so please remember outflow is not something that should be happen only in the first year. You can have outflows in the remaining years also. Okay, so in this example you have 75 crores outflow in the first year and 25 crores outflow in the fifth year. The inflow is starting from the second year, and this is the inflows. So 10, 15, slowly it's increasing and slowly it's again decreasing. So maybe at the 10th year this project is of no use. The life of this project is 10 years. So these are the inflows. So when we want to compare, when we want to calculate NPV, what we have to do? We have to discount these inflows. We have to discount this inflows. So what is the rate at which we discount? This we calculated, right? So that denominator term, PV is future value, right, by 1 plus rate of interest to the power n. So this denominator term, so we can write this, you can split this into two terms, future value into 1 by 1 plus I whole power n. Okay, so this term is known as the discounting factor. So the future value, say in the second year you are going to get 10 lakhs. So this 10 lakhs future value, what is its present value? You have to multiply with some discounting factor. That discounting factor is 0.91. How are you getting 0.91? 1 by 1 plus 10% to the power 1. You get 0.91. So you have to multiply this 10. You have to discount this 10 crores. You have to multiply by 0.91 to get the true inflow. So you're getting only 9.1 lakhs. So this 10 crores which seems to which you are going to receive 2 years from actually is actually worth only 9.1 crores today. Today the present value. Today the present value is only 9.1 lakhs. Right? The 15 crores which you receive 3 years from now is worth only 12.45 crores. Right? This 15 crores, if you receive 1 year later, its value is going to drop further. You see this 15 crores was 12.45, but now it's dropped to 10.5 after 4 years. So the earlier you receive it is better. The later you receive, its value is going to drop further. Okay. So then in the 5th year, you're going to get 20 crores. So 20 into 0.68. But for calculation of NPV, you have to present value. This is the NPV, right? So we're deducting the inflow also here, the outflow also here. So we're deducting this 25. So the net is you got minus 3.4. Then you have this discounting factor for 6th year, 12.4, 11.2, and so these are the various discounting factors. Okay, right? So ultimately you're going to arrive at an NPV of 5.7 in this particular example. In this example, you had a NPV of 5.7. If you add up all this, you're going to get the NPV of 5.7, which is a positive value, so we can accept the project. This is actually the calculation which you'll encounter in project finance. Okay, the project finance will be listing the initial outflow. Usually the initial outflow, you won't be having other outflows. In some cases you might have outflows in other year, but usually it is a outflow in the first year, and then you have inflows in various in the coming years, maybe for the next 5 years or 10 years. Okay, that will be the inflow. Then you have to calculate the NPV. The project report will actually be containing this calculation. You need not do it. Okay, the project will be containing this calculation, and finally they will be arriving at what is known as the NPV. You need to see whether this is a positive value or not. Usually it will be positive, right? That is the job of the people who prepare the project report. So it's not surprising that will be positive. But anyway, the concept is you have to accept the project if the NPV is positive and decline if it is negative. So in the earlier table we had seen that term called discounting factor. Discounting factor is nothing but that term with which we are multiplying that future value, right? That cash inflow which we the factor with which we multiply the cash inflow is known as the discounting factor, and that the formula is 1 by 1 plus I to the power n. Right? So discounting factor after 5 years is 1 plus whatever is the rate, 10% for example, 5 years. This is how we calculate the discounting factor. Okay. So the above process by which we arrived at NPV is known as the discounted cash flow analysis. So as the name implies, we are discounting the cash flow. We are not taking the cash flow directly. Remember the cash inflows in the earlier example. We had cash flows coming in after 1 year, after 2 years, like that, after 10 years. We are not taking these cash flows directly and adding up. We are taking the discounted cash flows. We are discounting these cash flows to the present value and then adding up. So this is known as a DCF analysis, discounting cash flow, discounted cash flow analysis. Okay. So what is the NPV? NPV is the difference between the discounted value of cash inflows and the initial investment. Okay. So as I already pointed out in this example which we considered, there was an outflow in the 5th year also. So this can happen. Okay. It's not that cash flow outflow should occur only in the first year. It can happen in remaining years also. Okay. So to become slightly technical on this concept of IRR, so till now we have been taking this discounting rate at 10%. So what is the actual rate you have to take? So there is something called cost of capital. Okay. And this is a very important concept in financial management, which we are not going to discuss here because it's beyond the scope of this because it's beyond the scope of a discussion. But please understand that it's not the 10% which you are going to discount. Okay, it is something called cost of capital. Every company will be having a cost of capital. It is with that cost of capital you have to discount the cash inflows. Okay. Similarly, the cash inflows which we calculated in the table we were given, right, after 1 year, 2 years, some cash flows. So where are these figures going to come from? Again, this is an advanced topic in DCF analysis. So if you're interested in this sort of stuff, you can refer to any advanced textbook on DCF analysis. Okay, on financial management. It can become very tricky, you know. IRR calculations can become very tricky. So till now we have calculated NPV. So what is this IRR? This segment is all about IRR, but we didn't discuss IRR, right? So we discussed NPV. NPV is what? Inflow minus outflow, right? What is that inflow? That is the discounted value of the cash inflows. Okay, discounted cash flows, right? Minus the initial investment. This is the NPV we said. So if NPV is positive, accept the project. NPV is negative, decline the project. Fine. So in an earlier example, we have taken a discounting rate of 10% and arrived at the NPV as 5.7. But you have to understand that NPV varies with the discounting rate. Okay, we need not get into the mathematics here, but you change the discounting rate, you'll be getting a different NPV. If you raise this to 10% to 15%, say for example, this NPV is going to turn negative. Now because what we are saying is we are going to discount the cash flows more heavily. So this amount of 10 crores which you receive 1 year from now, if you discount it 10%, maybe it's worth only 9 crores. But if you discount it heavily at 15%, is going to be come down to maybe 8.6, something lower than that. Okay, so that's why what happens is the more heavy is the discounting, the more the lesser will be the inflow, the discounted inflow, and ultimately your NPV is going to come down. So higher discounting rate will result in a lower NPV. So at 10% you got positive NPV 5.7. It is possible that if you take a higher discounting factor of 15%, the NPV might end up being negative. Actually, for this example, NPV is going to be minus 9.16. So for 10% you got a positive NPV of 5.7, and at another discounting factor of 15% you had a negative NPV of 9.16. So please understand that NPV varies with the discounting rate. So in between, so it is positive at 10%, it is negative at 15%. And in between there must be some discounting factor. We don't know what is that percentage, but definitely it is 0, because this value of NPV is going from negative to positive to negative. It was positive 5.7 at 10%, and when you apply 15%, it became minus 9.16. So somewhere it should be 0, right? This value is changing from positive to negative, so somewhere it should be 0. So that rate of interest, so that discounting factor at which the NPV is 0 is known as IRR. What is IRR? IRR is the discounting factor at which the NPV is 0. Right? The discounting rate at which the NPV is 0. In our example earlier, we said that at 10% you'll get positive NPV of 5.7. At 15% you'll get a negative NPV of minus 9.16. For an example, if you consider this rate of interest, this discounting factor of 11.9, you'll get NPV of 0. If you want, we can calculate it like, see now if our discounting rate is that 11.9%, the same table as the earlier example, now you discount, you'll get if you add up all those discounted cash flows, you'll get 0. So IRR, this is the IRR 11.9. So IRR is that rate, that discounting factor at which the NPV becomes 0. So banks in India usually are comfortable with IRR of minimum 15%. Okay. Again, there are a lot of intricacies in IRR. It's a very advanced concept. For example, there can be multiple IRRs. This might be surprising to you, but a single project can have multiple IRRs. This might happen in cases where there are alternating cash flows. Now, all these are advanced topics which you need not get into. As I said in the beginning, as a banker, you will not be calculating IRR manually. Okay, it will be furnished in the project report. All you need is to comment on it. But please, you need to comment on whether it is acceptable or not. Banks in India usually are comfortable with a IRR of 15%, and many banks actually do not calculate IRR. Okay, because this is an advanced topic. DCF analysis is something not many bankers are comfortable with. Okay, this is an involved process mathematically. As I already said, bankers are more comfortable with DSCR, but DSCR considers only the cost of term loan. Okay, but whereas IRR considers all funds such as capital, reserves, long-term loans, short-terms, all funds it considers. This is the cost of capital. It's not just the cost of term loan, cost of long-term debt, or cost of equity. No, it's the cost of capital. It is all capital put together. Own capital and borrowed capital all put together is the cost of capital. That's why it's a more powerful concept than DSCR. Okay, it is not just NPV and IRR are the only two ways in which we take a decision to accept or decline projects. There are other methods. For example, there's something called a payback method. It's a very simple method. Say for example, initial investment is 50 lakhs and cash inflows are 20, 25, 30. Okay, these are the cash inflows. In the first year, you're going to get 20. In the second year, cumulatively, in the second year, you're going to get 20 plus 25, 45 lakhs. In the third year, you're going to get 75 cumulatively, right? So initially you invest 50 lakhs. So when are you going to get that 50 lakhs? Somewhere in between 2 and 3, right? You already got 45 at the end of 2 years. Maybe 50 is going to get somewhere in 2.1. So it's 2.16. So that is what payback period says. So it's a very simple method. So when are you going to get back this initial investment, right? So these sort of simple calculations are also used sometimes, but please understand, in real project finance, complicated. In real project finance, is the DCF analysis is the number one choice for appraisers. Okay, so you need to be aware as a banker this DCF analysis and IRR, right? Again, as a banker, you might not be investigating too much into IRR. Because the current setup of seasoned bankers are more comfortable with DSCR. But anyway, as days goes by, you will be seeing more importance given to IRR. Finally, this IRR being given more importance. Right? So please be comfortable with the concept. So even if you are not very comfortable with the calculation, please understand the concept. So why we need to discount the cash flows. Okay? The calculation part is something which is optional. If you're not comfortable, we can leave it. Okay. So with this, we come to the end of the segment of IRR. In the next segment, we'll be discussing about term loan disbursement. What are the points you need to be keeping in mind while dispersing term loans? What are the monitoring and supervisory steps to be taken during project implementation and other related points, right? So see you then.